Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Soup Breakdown. Today we'll take a look at the MS-06R Zaku 2 High Mobility Type Reuse P device, also known as the Psycho Zaku, piloted by Daryl Lawrence. The final suit of the Thunderbolt 3, the Psycho Zaku, in my opinion, has the best lateral mobility of the three, since you can fire shots while you're moving laterally, which you cannot do with the Atlas. However, forward movement, I think, is not as good. The basic charge that it has does not combo into anything really, other than you having to just manually attack afterwards. It is pretty nice. It's pretty quick. Does basic damage, but from there, that's really all it has. Lateral movement-wise, again, I think it's the best of the three, but everything else, I think it's not quite as good. So on to attacks, you have the basic shot, which is pretty good. Does pretty nice little damage. 2 missiles and the chain gun. Nothing to sneeze at. You also have the charge. The charge is kind of weak. 120 damage on base. The beam that does not have very good tracking at all. When you compare that to the regular shot, I think the tracking is a lot better on it. But there's something a little bit interesting about the Psycho Zaku, which is what I'm going to show you here. Once you've used your ammunition, it doesn't reload. You have to manually reload it. And as you can notice, one of my cannons is now gone. So now you only get 1 missile instead of 2. This is a really interesting dynamic setup, in my opinion, where the more you use a thing, the less it becomes available. So you have to use it well. You can't just spam it. Because once it's gone, it's gone. You don't get any more. And as you can see here again, now we have no missiles, and we just have the basic chain gun. Which is, again, you know, hey, now this is what we've got. We did this to ourselves by overusing the missiles. And I think that's really cool. I think the idea of use what you have well and don't overuse it, don't be reckless with it because you only have so much ammunition on it, is really cool. The other weapons have infinite ammo, as is normally the case in this game, so you won't really have a problem with that. But I do think it's really cool for the main gun. As we go into the second round, we'll go over the rest of the moves and the burst. But I thought it was definitely worth it to show off that, because I think it's a really interesting mechanic that the Psycho Zaku has that a lot of the rest of most of the rest of the suits in this game do not have. As we go into the second round, though, of course, we ask the question, should you use the Psycho Zaku? Honestly, if you like ranged, if you're a mid to long range kind of person, I think the Psycho Zaku is great. When we get to the melee, you'll see that Daryl Lawrence, being a sniper, is not really built for melee. And it kind of shows. It's not what he's made for, and it's not what he's good at. You can definitely see it. We'll go over the rest of his kit first, though. You have the side missile, as you've seen before. You can fire it while standing still as well. Not too bad. Then you have the flip that fires the barrage. You can do that while standing still, and you'll go straight up in a backflip. You can do it while moving, and you'll flip side to side. Not too bad. Pretty good for being able to dodge things. You have, of course, the charge that we've already seen, but one cool thing about the charge is that it fires in pretty much a straight line, unless you're in red lock, and then it curves, which is really nice. Forward melee there, as you saw, is a stun, just like the Thunderbolt. Back melee is a block, does not block much live ammo, which is, you know, unfortunate in this fight. Side melee has super short range, and then you have basic melee, which is pretty decent. Again, these melee aren't amazing. Forward melee is probably the best of the group. You also have the striker, which fires the same beam as your charge, and can be just as effective or ineffective. And then finally you have this right trigger charge, which allows you to do spins and things like that, to be able to get around and end in a slash, which is pretty cool. Last but not least, we'll show off the burst. It is a melee burst. He got out of it because he used his burst, but you basically will then fly forward and then shoulder tackle them after you have hit them into the air. Honestly, I think that the Psycho Zaku is great for range, terrible for melee, good for mid-range, has a really interesting mechanic, and is something you should definitely try out if you have not yet. With all that said, though, I have been Trey, this has been the Full Spectrum, and remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that the Psycho Zaku has to offer.